Hello everybody and welcome back to a video on the Jammy channel. Hopefully you are all doing absolutely amazing. So today I'll be talking to you guys all about the new Among Us map, the airship, all the different kind of tasks that are within this map and other things to do with the map, and obviously all the new content coming. So obviously if you are ready to watch this video, make sure to subscribe because obviously only 2% of you are currently subscribed. Apart from that, let's just get straight into this and let's get going. So within the Among Us game, we all know that the imposters always seem to have the upper hand and genuinely are more likely to win than the crewmates. In a lot of the maps we currently have in the game, the imposters tend to win more than they lose at this current moment. So what Among Us want to do is they want to actually change this up to give the crewmates a little bit more of an upper hand compared to the imposters, and kind of like 50-50 a bit more than it currently is. This is due to the fact that within maps like Polus, Scaled, obviously Mirror HQ as well, there just isn't enough giveaways on who the imposters are, because in a Mirror HQ, for example, you can vent it anywhere. So if you killed a reactor, you can vent all the way down to cafeteria, and then see someone in cafeteria and be like, oh, I was with them because they saw me and they could back you. So it's really hard to kind of, gauge who's the imposter on that map. Obviously, Polus is quite a big map. It's hard to kind of work out where everyone is, to keep tabs on where people were to kind of work out the imposter. And then obviously on Scaled, it's a decent sized map and not everyone can always keep tabs on where everyone is and that kind of stuff. But yeah, obviously within this smaller map like Scaled, it is slightly easier than, for example, Mirror HQ and Polus to kind of keep track of where people are, because the vents tend to stay on the side of the maps that correspond to where the kill happens. As we know, airship map is going to be the biggest map going to be put into the Among Us game in March of this year. So all we do know is that with the map being the biggest it has, you guys are going to basically be able to spawn in 3 different locations based on what kind of part of the map you want to spawn at. So after a meeting, you might have a load of tasks on the right side of the map. So you're going to want to spawn in the corresponding location that takes you to the left side of the map, sorry, the right side of the map. And that is what you guys can do. So what they've done to kind of give what I would call the crewmates the upper hand is they're going to be giving the airlock mechanic back in, which we see in Polus and Mirror HQ. They're going to be bringing back in the airlock mechanic. This basically means that when you kind of go through the airlock towards, for example, Specimen in Polus, you're kind of locked within that kind of area for quite a while until obviously you make your way out between the 2 ways, which can make it within those locations very hard to kill or kind of be able to get away with it, because tend to be that someone will be near the door and it's hard to kind of get out. There's no venting out of there. You have to kind of make your way through or up. Or for example in Mirror HQ, you go up to engine and everyone kind of knows that you've gone up into engine, and you're kind of like, it kind of separates the 2 sides of the map, just like in Scaled where you got left side and right side. It separates off, so people are like, you're either in the main part or you're up in engine. People kind of can easily keep track of those 2 parts of the map, which is going to give the crewmates that slight upper edge. However, Among Us could add a room where every player gets scanned, similar to Medbay, but a bit more of a everyone does this. So within the map, the airship, they can include a room where when you walk through it, it's kind of similar to a metal detector, but instead it'd be an imposter detector. So you go into this room, the doors close off, locks you in with whoever's in there with you, and an alarm will get set off if there is an imposter within this room. So for example, let's just say 5 of you all walked into this room, the doors closed, and the alarm went off. You would know you have at least 1 imposter in that room with you, and you can kind of narrow it down a little bit more. Gives the crewmates an upper hand, also gives that kind of scary moment where you're like, oh my god, one of these 4 other players that are in the room with you, so that's the total of 5, is the imposter. That would be such a sick room. They should definitely add this to kind of, give the crewmates an upper hand. And then for the imposter, on the other hand, they'd have to kind of give you guys an excuse for why they don't want to come in the room with you, if that makes sense, or try and avoid the room, go around, vent around, and that could really give the crewmates that little bit of upper hand where it's like, why are you not going through that room, or kind of make yourself look a bit more sus, or give a good explanation why you don't want to go through the room. And then it could possibly even do this where you have to go through the room to get to another side of the map. So therefore the imposter had to kind of do it when there's no one really about, but it would still set off an alarm, so if anyone's nearby they would hear the alarm going off. But then crewmates would have to try and get there quick enough to kind of work out who the imposter is, based on who just walked through. And it's be kind of a fun little mechanic, which would be really quite interesting to see put into the game. So basically, by making an area where every crewmate is scanned, not just the innocent ones, Innersloth could add a new element of strategy to imposter gameplay. In this theoretical hallway, an alarm would go off inside if the imposter was in there. So if there's 4 players in the airlock at once, none of those 4 players, obviously except from the imposter, would know who the imposter was, and it would kind of cause a bit of chaos within that room, as you don't know who the imposters were. Crewmates are nearby, could hear the alarm go off, and all that kind of good stuff to try and work out the imposters are. I think it'd be a sick room for the airship map due to the fact it is such a large map, and kind of would easily narrow it down even more. Other tasks for the airship map, we'd have the standard ones we've seen, like for example upload, probably medbay, we're going to have probably trash chute because obviously it is on a big airplane. Other ones we've seen so far is the gemstone one where you kind of clean the gem. One is where you kind of pull something out of like a tin. I don't really know exactly what that task is. There could possibly be a cooking task that we have seen there is going to be a kitchen. There are other mechanics there, for example a moving drawbridge, which would be kind of really cool to see. And I wonder if there's kind of like you could fix that or something, or maybe the imposters could kind of break that machine. Like for example, you can close all the doorways or turn off comms, for example. They could add a different sabotage where you stop these bridges from moving and criminals have to go and fix them. I think that'd be a really interesting feature to add. And obviously we've got loads of other tasks as well which you don't quite know about. We haven't got anything confirmed except from kind of the common tasks, like for example wiring, upload, download, most likely medbay scan. Most likely we're going to see a swipe card. We're most likely going to see possibly you could maybe a handprint scan or something along those kind of lines. Something where the airship will explode if you don't do it in time, like for example a reactor meltdown, but this could be an engine meltdown instead. We will see when the game finally releases. Obviously everything here, take with a grain of salt. Most of it is true, however some of it is speculation as we have just been talking about. So hopefully you guys did enjoy. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already to the channel. And apart from that, have a really good rest of your day and can't wait to see the Among Us map finally come out. See you guys in the next one.